So what do we have here? A first generation Japanese Teisco 1960s import lawsuit type fake Fender guitar? Yeah. So of course this is a very fine guitar, well made. In the 1960s and 70s, Teisco made many guitars. They claimed to be the largest guitar maker in the world in the 1960s, and they made many guitars under many different brand names. Now this guitar has no brand name on it, but basically if you were a guitar store in America, you could put any brand on there you like up there on the head. Now what we got here is an ultra short scale bass guitar. The headstock is Fender inspired, so that's what gives us the, we call this the lawsuit type guitar, because it was inspired, when they made these, they were inspired by the Fender guitar. It has a beautiful sunburst body, a single pickup model. The metal tuners are 1960s, sleek and beautiful. Look at that sunburst wood there. What a beautiful guitar we got here. And so you notice there's no serial number on this Teisco guitar. So, okay, how do you pronounce the manufacturer of this guitar? Is it Teisco? Is it Teisco? Or Teisco? Well, why don't you pick one of those? Think about it and pick it again. Is it Teisco, Teisco, or Teisco? And we'll have a little unofficial American poll of sort here in the comments section. But as you can see, what a beautiful guitar. There's no serial number on the Japanese import lawsuit era guitars. They had no serial number. Okay, so let's go into the history of this a little bit. A lot of people may not understand these guitars, but going all the way back to the 1950s, during the 1950s, rockabilly caused a big boom for electric guitars like the Fender Stratocaster and the Fender Mustang. I believe this is like a copy on the Mustang, and also the Fender P-Bass. This is probably a copy of the Fender P-Bass. But anyhow, by the 1960s, some of the music entrepreneurs out there, people who sold guitars, guys like Harry Rosenbloom, yes, Harry Rosenbloom, decided to import electric Japanese copies to keep up with demand, because the demand for these electric guitars was just through the roof. There was like a long waiting list to get the Fenders and all the other type American-made guitars. So Harry Rosenbloom said, hey, I'll just buy these Japanese lawsuit era. Back then, he didn't realize it was going to be a lawsuit. And actually, in truth, there were not very many lawsuits that were ever filed. And what few lawsuits were filed were all settled out of court. But the Japanese were inspired by Fender, and they made these beautiful guitars in the 1960s and 70s. And so the lawsuit guitar was born because guys like Harry Rosenbloom decided to import them to meet the demand. By 1971, the Japanese company Hoshino would buy out Harry Rosenbloom. So Harry Rosenbloom was bought out in 1971 by a Japanese company called Hoshino. And that's just a little bit of history on these type guitars. Now, when you see a Teisco, I mean, you automatically know guitar experts can automatically recognize this as a Teisco or Teisco guitar, because, they just have a certain look to them. So to recap, in the 1960s, Harry Rosenbloom made a good living selling these fabulous copies of the Fender masterpieces. These were Japanese import lawsuit era guitars. Now the Japanese copies, they had character and personality, and they were faithful to the original design concepts. Very beautiful guitars. And they were so good that they started to sell like hotcakes. And the original American brands like Fender, their sales actually started to decline. So that was what happened. That's why some of the lawsuits were filed and settled out of court, because these Japanese guitars were selling so good that the American brands were taking a hit. Again, the Japanese guitars did not have serial numbers, and I'll leave you with this, a true Japanese lawsuit guitar would have been made by a company in Japan called Hoshino and created at the Fujigen Gakki Plant in Japan. If you think you really need this guitar, if you want this guitar badly, you probably should go watch a video called Mills Jacko Private Eye Noir, the Maltese Mask. Follow the directions in the description if you really want this guitar.